Like the goal is to get to a point, and we've all known people like this who they can just like stare at a piece of chocolate and not want to eat it because they're full. Because they always have access to that chocolate, or they always have access to those Doritos. And if I gave you Doritos every single day or Cheetos every single day, full access, you know what's eventually not going to be that fun anymore? Cheetos. Because the scarcity's gone.
Colin, man, anytime I buy any snacks for him, he demolishes them, Spence. I bought him a box of fruit snacks. Within 3 days, the whole box of fruit snacks is gone. He said, now my stomach hurts. I'm like, you ate 250 fruit snacks.
Yeah, he's something else. He's just like
garbage. Autism
disposal.
is strong in that one, girl.
Yeah, he's something else.
So before we get to the last like scene, so when it comes to ADHD folks and autistic folks, do we have a lot of like binging related things?
Our relationship with food is extremely different and very interesting. For one, some of us who struggle with like interoception or just connections with our body in general, we might be really detached from our hunger cues, which is a big issue, obviously, because we can't figure out how to feed ourselves. Also, a lot of us have sensory issues with food, so we have to figure out how to sneak in food from a practical standpoint. So it's almost like another layer to intuitive eating is, how do I get the stuff that I need when I think most stuff is gross? And that's how you kind of work around it. And that's more of the autistic piece. For the ADHD piece, because you are dopamine deficient, you might seek out food more to meet that need. And that causes like its own separate issue that you have to detangle as well. So there's actually specific dietitians that work with autism and ADHD from an intuitive eating perspective, and I find their work really cool because they're going through like, oh, I have snacks all the time available to me because my ADHD makes it really hard for me to A, remember that I'm hungry, and B, make myself food. And so that's how they get nutrients and food they like into their bodies. Okay. And the goal at the end of the day is to just be able to take care of yourself without all of the shame and the judgment.
Okay.
All right. And then the last scene we have here. So after Tony takes all the kids out on a hike, like a 30-mile hike, something like that, they capture Tony and they imprison him and like all of his minions. And so after that, they pretty much have access to all of the food that he like stole away. And then they all just have this big binge party where they just go crazy on all the food, have a like pretty much like, what's it called? I think, what was that movie? Was it like The Fly? I forgot what it was called. But there's this movie, and they all just go native. They go crazy, and they just start eating all the foods. And then, of course, Pat's like, maybe I should go down and help them. And then, of course, his skinny lady's just like, no, you don't need to eat that food. You're right.
Yeah, that was weird.
You're right. I don't need it. I just need to sit here next to my lady. Yep. That's it. Yeah, and then afterwards they feel the effects of all that food and consumption, and then Pat gives them a talking to. We need responsibility for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason why you wanted to do this scene?
I think there's a lot of layers to that scene. One, in that if you have scarcity, when I give you food, you're going to eat past your fullness threshold as a way to store food for later. So, and if you're really hungry, you're going to seek out foods that are richer in fats to ensure that it'll hold you longer. Like if you're really hungry and you eat a salad, you're only going to be full for X amount of times if there's not enough fat in the salad, because that sustains you. So how you are attracted to food shifts based on if you're in scarcity or restriction mode. So they're in scarcity and they are basically eating themselves into food comas. There's a lot of morality around food in this show or in this movie as well, where the foods they're picking are specifically foods that we vilify as bad foods, and even naming a food as bad makes us want it more because it's, again, the scarcity mentality. And then I thought it was interesting, the motivational speech from Pat, because he was so close to doing a really good job. Like this movie really like toes that line, because he wanted to teach them how to care for themselves. And that is beautiful. But when we do it through a dieting lens, that's where the problems come in, when it's about restriction. And so when he's talking, he's like, you need self-respect, and you're not going to get self-respect if you don't have control. That verbiage isn't going to make anybody feel good nor want to take care of themselves from a respectful or loving space. It's going to make them feel bad and probably go into another restriction binge cycle.
Yeah, because as soon as you backslide or Jesus, what's it called? As soon as you start abusing these things again, you're gonna go back into that shame spiral again, right? It's just like when you're working with alcohol and other drugs. As soon as you go back, it's like fuck, and so that self-respect goes right down the tube with all that effort that you put in. Yeah, I saw that.
So if the body is wired to protect you in this way, and society tells you that you need to go on these restrictive diets, and then they tell you that you're a failure for your body doing what it's doing to protect you, that's a really confusing message.
Yeah. I like that.
It also makes it hard to take care of yourself in general.
Oh, 100%. I liked it, that first scene, Spence, because it's just like one, them strawberries in a jar taste like shit. Just gonna put that out there. I'm not a fan of them. But it looks like so much fun that they're having. Just eating, chilling, having fun. I mean, that looks like a fun ass party instead of just everyone being drunk as shit and then fights breaking out. I mean, in a mosh pit. You know.
It was like they're drunk. That was like Disney's drunk.
Yeah, that's Disney's drunk.
Yeah, they all woke up with hangovers. So.
they all been there. I know one thing. After, I don't know about everyone listening, but when you're drunk as hell and then you get that food at 2:00 in the morning, and then you're like, damn, and you wake up sick as hell, and you're like, well, am I sick because the 17 tacos I had, or the half gallon of alcohol?
Or both.
I just thought it's just a very fun scene when you get to see all these kids just be happy for the first time. One of the few times in the movie. And there's no shame. They're just having fun. Fireworks are going off for some reason. I don't even know who the fuck's lighting those. You know, you got this
Their
guy.
camaraderie is awesome.
It is. No one will love you like a fat person. No one will love you. Yeah, it's just good scenes. And that lives like in my head too. Like when we get in a box of pizza, or we get a couple boxes of pizza, or like anytime I see that big ass Subway sandwich, fucking 7 foot longer, I'm like, I just want to hold it, but then I would never do that because if it fell, I would be depressed.
Yeah, it would be very sad.
Oh, I'd be so sad. I'd be like,
we're allowed to like food. If you're going to exist in a larger body, you're allowed to enjoy food. It gives us euphoria for a reason. Like you get the dopamine for a reason.
Me and Spence
supposed to enjoy it.
Me and Spence were on a trip, and we were at that pizza place, and I was like, Spence, I got to take a picture of this shit.
Yeah. You did all right. You took a picture, all right, and you ate my slice, you son of a bitch. I'll never forgive you for that.
I know.
I have 3 slices. All of a sudden, I had 2. Like, what the fuck,
I'll buy you a hot and ready.
I don't want that bullshit. Hot and ready.
It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Overall, when you watched this movie back in the day, were you like, "This is some good stuff," or were you skeptical back then? Did this movie make you feel like seen, or what was the emotion?
I probably did really like the camaraderie. I don't think I had any awareness. Yeah, other than that it was cool to see that many fat people in one place, but I don't think I had any awareness. I think I was still very deep in like body failure stuff, so it wouldn't have been able to see it through that lens. Yeah, which is unfortunate because we do need more exposure to people in different bodies. It would just be nice to have that without the fat jokes associated with it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. So before we go, any plugs?
Oh yeah, I started a podcast called Fat Positive Everything Podcast, and it is out now. And I interview guests weekly about what they do in their fat liberation work, and it's been a good time so far.
Nice.
So listen.
Where do we find it?
Oh, Spotify, Substack, Apple, whatever all those places. I don't know. I'm honestly very new to all of this, and I'm just guessing half the time. So.
All right. Well, maybe next time you'll have it down. There we go.
Next time I'll be like really well versed in it.
Okay.
There you go. And where can people find you on Instagram?
Instagram and TikTok are Fat Positive Therapist. One word.
Nice. All right. There we go. Thank you for coming on. Would love to have you on again. Yeah, really appreciate you. And with that, I'm Spencer. That's us. Different Spectrum Podcast.
All right, everyone. Peace. Much love. And remember, take care of yourselves. I was taking a
Or
pause.
don't.
That's completely it.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Check out the full episode on our channel and anywhere you find podcasts. Also, remember to like and subscribe. Whoop whoop.